Saldana, Mrs. Sitaraman, Bashir, Muralidharan, and all my friends. Christmas is just 6 days away, but Murli and Bashir have given me the best Christmas present I could have ever had. They got me to reconnect with the best part of my life. 18 years with Tata Power, building up what is today's SED. In 5 minutes, which is the time I've been given, it's impossible for me to encapsulate and give to you all the wonderful stories that I have that has enabled this organization to be what I've seen today after 25 years. If I had a dream, it was a dream that came to me in 1972, when on 15th of February I joined Tata Power. I was recruited by Mr. Sitharaman and Mr. Nambiar because I had a PhD and come from the US. But I found I had nothing to do. And that led me to say, okay, why don't I go and visit the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, where there are people who were familiar with some doctoral work I had done. And that step was the beginning of what we have as SED today. Because through that first step, I came to know that Mrs. Indira Gandhi had given 2 major projects to TIFR. One was the ADGIS project, the Air Defense Ground Environmental System, which was basically a consequence of our Chinese war in 1962, where the Americans had promised to give us a complete network of radar systems across our border to protect ourselves from a future Chinese attack. But politicians being politicians and politics being politics, the soured relations between our country and the US led to tremendous delays of that project execution. And Mrs. Gandhi typically took a decision, we will do it ourselves. So we had the motto of Make in India, Do in India, way back in the 70s. Okay. Perhaps without the support that the present government gives us, but we had that. And that opened an opportunity to see what we could do. With the Tata name, it was very clear that we could be a major defense manufacturing organization in the country. I had just returned from the United States and had known that the major defense industry is in the hands of the private companies. So why not in India? Why not Tatas? Okay. But every time I voiced that, the typical responses would be, you know nothing about defense. As per government policy, all defense has to be in the private sector. But just hammering away on we can do, led to a small trial contract of exactly 50,000 rupees to build a terminal, an alphanumeric terminal that would go on the air defense system. When I took this contract and gave it to our company secretary in Bombay House and said, I have to sign this contract, he says, Dr. Pradhan, you must be crazy. You know, we have to go through enormous legal procedures to get our company to sign an agreement with any organization. Why are you doing this for 50,000 rupees? But I prevailed. And we succeeded in delivering that first contract in time, which led to tremendous confidence within TIFR. And when at the same time, I saw some officers from the Air Force who were evaluating the system that was being built by ECIL, complaining about the fact that the ECIL command and control system was too big, that it was too expensive, and they were unhappy with it. And in my typical approach to them, I said, look, you're the customer, you're always right. We will build you a better defense command and control system. Okay? And everybody laughed at me and said, look, what do you know about air defense? What do you know about command and control? So what do you know about radars? But it is amazing when you are determined that you will do something and you can do something, the way people come around you. LRD here in Bangalore had a director whose name was Dr. Shenoy, who came and said, look, Dr. Pradhan, you do it. I'll give you all the radar knowledge. I'll give you all the subsystem. And it is from that particular project that we got in 1975 that we grew. And in a matter of 10 years, TEC R&D, which is what SED was known as at that time, became the premier command and control systems. Because from that Air Force system, we had gone into the Navy, we had gone into the Army. Then a very critical situation arose when our lab, which is originally set up to support NELCO, took a decision that NELCO would have its own separate R&D. And therefore, it would take people who were working in the R&D with us, who belonged to the NELCO group of activities, would join NELCO, or they would be requested to join NELCO. Most of those did ultimately join it. But there was one gentleman who felt very strongly. He says, no, I am a Tata Power man, I'm going to be with Tata Power. And I told him, look, Dr. Bashir, most of our defense projects are in the area of command and control or radar. Where are we going to get control projects? And he said, look, Dr. Pradhan, we will try. And it is that one man's effort of pushing control systems today that you see demonstrated outside in terms of all the equipment forces. And this is the story of SED. We had Dr. Bashir, we had several others who came together, joined together, formed a chemistry which gave all the innovations, which took all the risks, and which got Dr. Kalam to such an extent of worry that he came to me one day and he said, Dr. Pradhan, I'm very worried because all our space program is being dependent on you. Should anything happen to you, what are we going to do? And he says, I've got to create a competition. And that's how we went about and got Larsen and Toubro to join us and become our competitors. So, the story of TEC R&D is an unbelievable story. Okay? And as I said, it will take hours for me to talk about all the activities that we conducted, the risks we took, and the people we had. And as I've always claimed, as the chief of the unit, I was a salesman, I was a front. But the army that I had behind me was solid. And the army leaders like Dr. Bashir and Murli were the strength of the whole organization. So Bashir, Murli, thank you again for inviting me here. As I said, I've reconnected after 25 years, okay? Because the last time I spoke to you like this was at Sakinaka when I was saying farewell, and we meet again. Thank you very much.